All right, so 2.2, solving linear equations, and we're gonna follow these steps. Ready, set, go. Here we go. So the first thing you wanna do is simplify both sides. When you simplify, that means you wanna make sure that you get rid of parentheses and exponents, okay? So first, to simplify. What do I need to do? Distribute. I'm gonna distribute the 2. That's gonna give me 2x plus 6 equals -2 plus 3x. Okay. Step 2 is you're going to combine like terms. When you're combining like terms across the equal sign, that means their signs are changing, right? All right. I personally like to move all my variables to the left and my constants to the right. If that's not your MO, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't matter if you move the variable to the right and the constant to the left. But for me, I like to move. So I'm going to move this constant. And since it's a positive, I'm going to make it a negative. And I'm going to move this variable. Since it's a positive, I'm going to make it a negative. Do we see what happened? Okay, so I'm moving them. And because it's not on the same side, the inverse operation takes place. So I have 2x and -3x makes -x, plus 6 and -6 goes away. -2 and -6 becomes -8, and 3x and -3x go away. Okay, now my variable is isolated, almost. So I'm going to continue to isolate variable. What do I need to do to isolate the variable? I need to make it a positive, which means I either need to multiply or divide by -1. It doesn't really matter how you think about it, as long as you know how it changes mathematically. And then you simplify again. And so what's -8 divided by -1? 8. Was that terrible? No. It was not. Questions about example 1? All right, so let's look at example 2. Got a little bigger on us. Okay, on example 2, this time when I simplify, I have to simplify both sides. Does that make sense? And that's because both sides has what? Parentheses. So I have to simplify both sides before I start combining like terms. Cool? So I'm going to distribute, 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 distribute. When there's just a minus, that means you're distributing a -1. Casper the Friendly One exists. So we have 2 times 3x gives us 6x. 2 times -1 gives us -2. -1 times x is -x. -1 times -3 is +3. Going to continue to simplify this side. So I am left with 6x minus 2 equals 6 minus x. And that's because 3 plus 3 makes 6. How do we feel about the simplifying? Okay, after that, now we're going to combine like terms. So we're going to combine, which means we're going to be moving across the equal sign. And again, do you have to move the same way I do? No, you do not. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides, and I'm going to add x to both sides. 6x and 1x makes 7x. That equals 0. 6 and 2 make 8. This equals 0. Last step is to isolate. And what do I do to isolate? Divide by 7. So x equals 8 divided by 7, and that fractions are our friends. Okay, if you're not confident in your answer, step 4 is to do what? Check your answer, plug it in. So to check your answer, you plug back in and see if you did it right. Okay, there's a little more, an added step in the simplifying. But overall, is this doable? Good? All right. Let's talk about problems with fractions. Okay. There's a couple of things here. You can work it as a fraction or you can eliminate the fraction. It's really up to you. I personally like to get rid of the fraction. So when you are eliminating a fraction, you're going to use the least common multiple. Okay. So to eliminate fraction, you use the least common, not multiple, denominator, sorry. What is the least common denominator between 4 and 4? 4.
Oh.
Yeah. The least common denominator is 4. Okay. You're going to use your least common denominator. You're going to multiply each term by the LCD. Each term by LCD. So that means I now have 4 times x over 4 minus 2 times 4 equals 4 times 1 over 4. When you multiply the number that's in the numerator and the number that's in the denominator, if they're the same, what happens? It simplifies, reduces, it becomes 1. So you're left with x minus, and then we have 2 times 4, which is 8, 4, 4, and I'm left with 1. Now this becomes a simple problem. So last step is to solve for x. Isolate. So what do I need to do to isolate x? Add 8. So what is x equal? 9. So to eliminate the fraction, we found the LCD. Then we multiplied each term by the LCD. And then we just had to isolate our variable. How do you feel? Questions, comments, concerns? None? Sure. All right, let's try another one. So again, step 1 is to identify the LCD. So this time we have 3, 2, and 6. What's our LCD? Hmm? 6. LCD is different than greatest common factor, which is what you guys keep hollering at me. Okay. There's no GCF between 2, 3, and 6. Because 2 and 3 are both prime. There's no GCF except 1. LCD mean what is the smallest number that they can multiply to? Not divide into, but multiply to. And the smallest number that 2, 3, and 6 can multiply to is what? 6. Does that make sense? All right. So step 2 is you then are going to multiply each term by your LCD. So we have 6 times x plus 1 over 3 minus 6 times 1/2 x equals 6 times 2 minus 6 times 1 over 6 times 2 minus x. Multiplying again means that all you're doing, what is 6 divided by 3?
2.
So I'm left with 2 times x plus 1. What is 6 divided by 2? I'm left with 3x. What is 6 times 2?
4.
What is 6 divided by 6?
1.
1. And now, do I have a fraction anymore?
No.
Questions about getting rid of the fraction? And then now you just proceed to isolate the variables. So going through all those previous steps to get x by itself. which means we're going to distribute and combine. So we have 2x plus 2 minus 3x equals 12 minus 2 plus x. Combine like terms, we have 2x and negative 3x on the left, which gives us 2 minus x. We have 12 minus 2 on the right, which gives us 10 plus x. What do I need to do? Isolate the variable. So I need to get the variable to one side. So I'm going to subtract 2 and subtract x, which leads me to negative 2x equals 8. Still not isolated. And then divide by negative 2. So x equals negative 4. Questions, comments, concerns? Again, LCD is not the greatest common factor. It's the least common denominator. So what is the smallest number that the denominators can multiply up to? Okay. Okay. Now we're going to talk about decimals. Yay! Ugh. Decimals are boring. All right. So decimals. We have 3 and 4/10 x plus 4 equals 6 and 1/10 x. Just because it's a decimal, is it going to change how I operate?
No.
No, it's not. What do I need to do? I need to move the 4. How do I combine the like term? I'm going to have to subtract 4 because its like term is on the other side of the equal sign, right? So I have 3 and 4x equals 2 and 1/10. Then I'm going to divide by 3 and 4/10. Don't know why my line was so long. Nope. Decimals can't be left as fractions, okay? So we're gonna go through making sure we can divide by hand because your test is paper test and it's 2 parts. It's a calculator part and a non-calculator part. So you need to be comfortable with dividing a little bit, okay? So in order to divide, does anyone remember how to divide? By hand. I would hope so. All right, so what my 3rd grade teacher told me that this is the cowboy, this is the horse. The horse stays outside and the cowboy goes in at night. This is the cowboy, this is the horse. The horse stays outside and the cowboy goes in at night. Huh? I'm just telling you what my 3rd grade teacher said, and that's how I learned it, okay?
That's confusing.
How is that confusing?
Some people don't know about cowboys.
I lived in Texas. How you
I live in Texas.
You know what a cowboy and a horse is. Does the horse ride the cowboy? Does the horse ride the cowboy, Kelvin? Oh, okay. Okay. All right. When you're dividing decimals, weird people out here, I tell you. Before you divide, you need to make sure that the outside number is a whole number. Is this currently a whole number? No. I'm going to have to move the decimal place 1 unit to the right. What I do to the outside, I have to do to the inside. So now my decimal place is right here. Okay. Does 34 divide into 21? No. So the number in front of my decimal place is a 0 because that's not possible. I'm going to throw a 0 in there. Does 34 divide into 210? Yes, it does. Anyone knows how many? It's a skip. Huh? Okay, and that's because 34 times 6, 18 plus 2 is
18 plus 220.
and now I'm going to subtract. You divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Should be bringing back some middle school and elementary memories with that.
No.
Sad and tragic, I tell you, sad and tragic. All right. So we bring down, math is math. And it goes in there one time, leaves me with 34. I'm going to subtract. That gives me 26. Does that? Nope, got to bring down. Pew, pew, pew. How much now? Is it 7 or 8? 7. And that gives me 238, right? 248? 238. I was right. And that gives me
Oh, that's my birthday, 617.
22. And then we'll keep going, but we're just going to stop right here. So X is approximately what? Huh? 617. Yeah, exactly. So what are y'all gonna be, these parents who can't teach your kids how to do basic multiplication and division?
You say what?
You gonna be these parents who can't teach children basic multiplication and division?
I have a shoot on like 35.
You still gotta know how to teach them.
No, but then I have money for that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.